Right. Perfect. All right, guys. So we have just finished the business trust. We just set up the business trust. So I know you guys have a lot of questions. Please raise your hand so that we can get into this Q&A and I can answer any and all questions that you guys might have. So I see Ashley Johnson has a question. Hey, Ashley.
Hi, my first question is the last part we just left off of, where it says subscribe and sworn to, and you put a date, and then it says by who approved me to on the basis of satisfactory. What would that blank be for?
Mhm.
By blank
So,
who approved me.
oh, okay, which part? Hold on. Let me share my screen so
Okay.
that I can go to the part that you're talking.
It's on the very last page we were just on.
Okay. Oh, hold on one second. Let me go to the right trust. Oh, what not this one, right? Not the
No.
administration, the certificate right here.
Hold on. Where did it
Oh,
just
right
go?
here. Subscriber and sworn to before me on this day.
Yeah.
So this is
Uh-huh.
this is the notary section. So this is so all of these pages needs to be notarized by, you know, obviously a notary. And so this is saying here subscribe and sworn to me before me on this day. So then the notary is going to put the date, right? So they're going to put the 8th day of January 2024 by, and then they're going to put your name here, who proved to me on this day of satisfactory evidence to be the man who came before me, right? Man or woman. So you're going to put, they are going to put my name here. And I proved to them, so I literally gave them my driver's license and proved to them, hey, I am Christina Yvette. And so they are swearing that one, they saw your signature, and two, you provided satisfactory evidence or identification that that is you. And then now they're going to sign it. So they're going to sign and then they're going to put their seal. And that's what makes this document legal, that you actually executed it and not, you know, a random person. Does that make sense?
Okay. So I wait for them to sign that.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Okay.
so do not sign this. You have to sign it in front of a notary.
Okay.
Don't sign it before it's notarized.
Okay.
All right, perfect. All right. Next we have Kenya. Uh, is it Kenya?
Yeah, Kenya. Sorry.
Kenya. All right. Hi,
Yeah, I
Kenya. How are
wanted to, yeah, I'm good. I missed the other workshop. I was supposed to be in the other workshop, but I'm trying to work at the same time and be part of the meeting. But I wanted
you?
to
Okay.
ask you, how does the beneficiary actually benefit while we are alive, while we do they get
It's up
any
to you. Yeah, that's a good
okay.
question. It's up to you. So they can receive distributions. They can also receive gifts too. So you can give them gifts directly from the trust. So let's just say you wanted to give them, you know, $5,000 every year or twice a year. You can do that. So that's one way that they'll benefit. Two, they can benefit from receiving distributions, and they'll receive those distributions however often you want them to. So if you want them to receive it monthly, quarterly, yearly, you will set it up that way because it's your discretion as the trustee. Okay. And then another thing is they can also like take out loans from the trust. in order to be able to, fuel their, lifestyle, whatever they need, if they need a car or they need to pay tuition or things like that. So those are some ways that they can benefit from the trust while you are still alive and operating the trust.
How about because me and my husband has one property together, but he bought two others under his name only. We could still add it into the trust, and we could both become trustee, co-trustee and
Correct.
trustee, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, that's 100% correct. And now the trust is going to own those other properties. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right, next we have Atika. Hey, Atika, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Christina?
Oh,
I have a quick question. I already did most of the trust. The only thing
okay.
I didn't do was the IEM for this one. I did the IENs last year
Okay.
for my other two trusts. So I want to do this one this year. Now, does that make a difference of my establishment date if I do my IEM for this one this year instead of last year? Because I did the other two last year in November.
Okay.
I missed the one. I didn't do this one. So my question is, will that make a difference as far as my establishment date when I start writing this up, or does that affect it? The day that
That's a good question. So when you are applying for an EIN with the IRS, they do ask you the day that you funded it or the day that you established it. So you're going to put your establishment date there. So it does not matter when you apply for an EIN. You can apply for an EIN in 2025, but because you established the entity in 2023, that's why they ask you for that date, because now you can still, use your EIN and you can still do whatever you need to do. If it's file taxes, if it's get a bank account, if it's acquire credit, whatever it is, you can still do it. But the IRS for record keeping purposes know that it's an older entity. This entity is 2 years old, but they're applying for an EIN today.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions, Atika? All right. Next, we have Shantae. Hey, Shantae, how are you?
Okay, Christina, I apologize. I did log on 30 minutes late, so if it was covered, I'll go back and watch the recording. Did you go over by any chance if you have an existing LLC and want to give it to the business trust? How to do that process? Like,
Oh,
is it a specific form?
Oh, that's a good question. And that we are actually going to be going over that on Friday. We're going to do that whole thing together. So I'll briefly mention the steps, but just know that we're going to be doing all of that on Friday. So when you have an LLC, right, and you want to use this business trust, the one that we created right now today, as the owner, then what you're going to do is first, on Friday, we are going to do a business purchase agreement. So we are going to show that we are selling the business. And so this is already for pre-existing LLCs. This is not if you're going to create a new LLC in the future, okay? So this is if you already have an LLC that's owned by you and your personal name. What you want to do is you want to show that you have sold that business to the trust so that they're not able to come after you or come or try to skip trace and show that you have some association with that company. So you want to show, hey, I legitimately sold this company to a trust organization, okay? My throat is so dry, guys. So sorry. And so then at that point in time, that's what we're going to do together. So we have the templates and everything that you need, and I'll show you how to go through that process. Once you're done with the business purchase agreement, then you actually have to fulfill the amendments. So you're going to go to the Secretary of State's website where you created that LLC. So some of you guys created it in Wyoming, some of you guys created it in Nevada, some of you guys created it where you actually live, okay? okay? So wherever that Secretary of State is, you're going to go there and you're going to do an amendment, okay? So on that amendment, what you're going to do is two things. You're going to remove yourself as either the authorized member or manager of that company. And then you're going to add a new authorized member or manager, and that new authorized member is going to be the business trust that you've created today. So now that business trust that you created today is going to be the holding company for that LLC. Once you process that amendment, then the Secretary of State is going to take however long they take in order to process it. I've seen it instantly, and I've seen it 24 hours, and I've seen it 2 to 4 weeks. So it just depends on your state, okay? But once it's processed, then your name is removed from the public records, and now it represents that the business trust owns that that company, okay? So I hope that answered your question. All right, next we have Lyric.
Yes, sorry about that. What was gonna
Hey,
ask?
Lyric.
Okay, so hi. So what
Yeah.
I was gonna ask was, which I think you kind of just went over a little bit. You did put that you were doing it in the state when we were doing the trust, the state, like you put the state of Florida, right? So are we doing it in the state that we actually live or the state that we're registering it in? So if I live in Georgia, but if I set it up that I'm a registered in Wyoming, do I put the state of Wyoming or do I put Georgia?
Okay, you're registering. What are you registering?
I'm registering the trust as are we doing registering the trust as a LLC or no?
No, that's not what I'm talking about. If you have
Okay.
an existing LLC, you're going to remove yourself as the owner, and you're going to put this trust as the new owner of that
Right.
LLC. That's what I'm talking about. This
Okay.
business
I know
trust
what
does
you're talking
not need to be registered. So you
about.
don't
Okay.
want to
Got
put this trust on nobody's secretary, secretary of state or anything like that.
it. Okay. All right. So then we'll only set it up for the where we live.
Yep, exactly. So the residency that you choose for the trust is going to be
Mhm.
generally where you live.
You live. Okay. So that way when we do the EIN, it just says trust. Okay. Got it. No problem. Thank you.
Yep, yeah, you do. When you do the EIN, you do have to put an address on there. And so you're going to
Mhm.
have to put, whatever address you choose. I recommend that you guys set up a virtual address. I do have an affiliate link for iPostal. I personally have iPostal. And they will give you a corporate address or a commercial address that you can use, for this specific reason. And then they'll
We can
forward
also sorry to cut you off. We can also use like a registered agent address.
yeah, you can. You can use a registered
Okay.
agent. If they allow you to use the address, yes,
Mhm.
you can.
Yeah.
If they're going to be receiving your correspondence, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. James, how are you?
Hey, good, Christina. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Nice to see you.
Yeah, you too. So a couple questions. One, kind of a minor one, but what do you recommend uh as far as for virtual address or PO box for the trust? Someone asked in the chat if we could use the same address for all of them, or do you have a recommendation like use a PO box for the business one, maybe a virtual for something else? What would you say to that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, one, I recommend a virtual address over a PO box. The reason being is because, one, if you, like, for example, with the business trust, if you're going to go for business credit, then you want to look credible or fundable. So you want to look like you're in a corporate, building. That's one. Two, when you're applying for your EIN, the IRS doesn't accept PO boxes. So if you have already established a PO box for your trust, you won't even be able to use it for that application. You would have to use an alternative address anyways. So That's why I recommend virtual addresses. So now it depends on the company that you use if you can use the same address or not. Some virtual address companies will allow you to have multiple entities under one address. Some don't. iPostal doesn't. So you would need to get 3 separate accounts and 3 separate addresses. I do think that it is okay for you to use one address for all 3 of your trusts because your trusts are private. And so they're going to be, it's going to, some of the trusts you might not use. You only might use it like for taxes and stuff like that. So if you want, so I think it's okay to use one address for all 3. But if you wanted to separate it, the best separation would be to separate the business trust address if you are going to be building business credit with it, that address should be separated from the from the family trust and the ministry. So that's my recommendation.
Awesome. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think the next question you'll probably go over later on, but it was just more about structuring cash flow from an LLC if it needs to go through the business trust first before it goes into, the life insurance and all of that. But I'm sure you'll get to that later.
Yeah, we will. We're going to be talking about that on Friday when we're talking about like assets. We'll talk about like Thursday and Friday, we'll be talking about setting up bank accounts, and then how to flow the money from the trust to the policy and stuff.
Got it. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much, James. All right, next we have
Thanks.
Pedro. Hey, Pedro, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, it's always a splendid day over here in sunny South Florida.
Well, I like to be there myself.
Yeah.
Getting a little colder here in Georgia.
Oh gosh.
I got a couple questions, and James really I appreciate James go ahead and addressing because that he were on the same lines that in regards to the address.
Yeah.
So I'm glad he took that question off my plate. Um, is there any type of specific, and I'm just asking, you got to understand, I guess, and I'm hearing probably some of uh the the mind more of a corporate mindset in some of these questions. Name search, is there anything that when it comes to naming your trust, do you have to go through any type of name verification or search process? So therefore, there's no possibilities for the trust to get sued due to a name search, a name coincidence or a name similarity.
Yeah.
Uh,
So yeah, that's a really good question. You can name the trust whatever you want, and you have to understand that when you are naming your trust, you're naming your trust in a different jurisdiction. So all
gotcha.
the names that are out here, they're in the statutory, jurisdiction. And so yours is in the common law jurisdiction, which is non-statutory. So the name that you choose for your trust is automatically copywritten under common law. Okay. So that means that you already have the rights to use that name. Another thing is that you can have the same name or a similar name, but it be a different entity. So if you are using, 123 Main Street as the name of your trust, right? There can very well be a 123 Main Street LLC, a 123 Main Street Corporation or Inc., but you specifically have 123 Main Street Trust. And so that's what the IRS that's what they look for, just to make sure that there is no entity that is the same class or type of entity with the same name. So if there is an issue that may arise, then all you have to do is distinguish, hey, this is a trust and not an LLC or a corp.
Okay. Okay. And then my next question is, can a co-trustee and protector hold, I guess, basically two positions.
No.
Okay.
Okay, so let me just clarify. Can a co-trustee also be a protector?
Yes.
No. So the
Okay.
protector can only be the protector, and that's the only position that they can hold. The same thing with the grantor. They can only be the grantor. The trustee the trustee should only be the trustee. The trustee can be also a beneficiary. So the trustee can hold two positions, which is the trustee and the beneficiary. But they cannot be they cannot be the sole beneficiary.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. That's it for me.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Pedro.
Thank
All
you.
right, next we have Jerry. Hey, Jerry, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Okay. I have a couple of questions. I did my trust already, and I got the EIN for it,
Okay.
but the EIN I put in a virtual address,
Okay.
but I did it a while later than when I actually formed it, and the address is different from what is actually on the trust. And so I want to change that um, before I get my a bank account. And I just want to make sure I go through the proper steps in order to do that, because I've been doing some things I shouldn't have done, um, taking some wrong steps. But so I have the EIN with the address that I want per se, but I just need it to reflect in the actual trust.
Okay. So on the trust document, you have the actual on the trust document, you have the wrong address. On the actual
Yes,
indenture, you have the wrong address.
yes,
So on your EIN letter, the address is correct, right?
yes.
Okay, cool. So then all you have to do is you have to have a board meeting. And so we're going to go through board meetings on Thursday, but for this particular situation, you want to go inside of the online portal and go to resources. And then there you will find the template for you to have an ordinary board meeting. And in this ordinary board meeting, you are going to the order of business, the item of business is going to be like address change or like resident address change, something like that, right? And then inside of the meeting minutes, all you're going to do is say that the address was changed from one, and then you'll list the old address to the new address, and that is going to be the new address that you're moving forward. So that's one thing, right? So you don't have to, the trust is already done and legalized. So the change happens or the amendment happens inside of the meeting minutes. That's one. The second thing is that you have to update your certificate. You have to update your trust certificate. Okay. So the certificate of trust, that's what you're going to take to the bank, and it has a portion with the old address. So you have to go in there and update it. That's a working document, and it's a living, like it's always going to be updated. So whenever you make one little change, which is the address or the trustee or anything like that, then you can update that and print it out and renotarize it. So the certificate of trust needs to be updated with the new address, and then you need to have it notarized again.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are the only two things. It's just two steps. So just have a board meeting about it and document it and add it to the trust. And then their certificate. Do you know where to find the board meeting, or do you want me to go through that?
Um, yeah. Well, I don't want to tie up everybody, so because I'm not in a position to look at it right now anyway.
Okay, so
But
we can handle it offline. So whatever help that you need, we'll able to help you get through that. So no worries. Just let me know. So Dana is the program director, so you see her in the chat. So she'll be able to walk you through the process of where to find the form. She could also send you the form directly. And then the steps on filling it out, okay? And then we'll, make sure that everything was done correctly and help you through that process.
okay. Or how if is she able to just send me that form?
Yeah, she can
That
send
would
it to you.
make life easy.
Yep, she'll send it to you.
Okay, appreciate you.
You're welcome. Yeah,
One last thing.
go ahead.
In my activity, when I actually did the um iPostal, I knew the address that I was going to use prior to me doing the iPostal, and so when I actually got the iPostal address approved, it gave me some extra numbers um, to that address. Is that going to create a problem with the what's on my actual EIN?
Is it a suite number?
Um, not well, the suite number is on the EIN, but then there's some additional
Numbers
numbers on
outside of
there.
it? Yeah, that's fine. So usually the iPostal and other service companies, because I've been with 3 different virtual address companies, they once they receive your correspondence, they know where to forward it to. So they're gonna see the address and then they're gonna look in the system, look at your account and show, hey, it goes to this specific suite number, and they'll know where to send it.
Okay,
Yeah, they're
good.
pretty good at that. They're like, professionals when it comes to not losing your mail.
Okay. And the last thing I just want to say is you're doing a great job. I like how you communicate. You're just smooth throughout the whole um, program, and it's like you're getting better and better at it each time you do it. So keep doing
Thank
what
you
you're
so
doing.
much. Thank you, Jerry. I really appreciate that. Thank you so, so, so much. Yeah, that is definitely what I'm here for. I'm here to, just to provide this information so that people can have a broader awareness of, the type of entities that they can operate and how they can protect their assets and their businesses and stuff. And I just want to give them the most amount of information that I have in order for them to, really be able to operate these trusts correctly and, set up their business and their family for success. So thank you so much, Jerry. I appreciate you. I know you've been with us for a while now, for a couple months now. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next we have Miss Terry. Hey, Miss Terry, how are you?
Hey, Christina, I'm doing good. How are you today?
I'm doing good. It's always a pleasure to see you.
Yeah, and I want to second what Jerry said. You're awesome.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So here's my question, and I'm trying to understand, like with the structuring, like you said, you can sell your LLC to the trust, and that will be your holding company. So my confusion comes in with this new Corporate Transparency Act. When you sell the LLC, that takes it out of the public and put it in the private. Is that what's happening, or do you still have to go in and register with the with FinCEN?
Yeah, you still have to go register with FinCEN because you have to understand your LLC belongs to the state. You think that it belongs to you, but it doesn't. It
Okay.
is an entity by statutory nature. You went to the state in order to set it up. It belongs to them. And so it will never be public. It will never be private. So, yes, as long as you have an LLC and it's active, you do have to go through FinCEN in order to do the reporting.
So is it better to dissolve a LLC and then go in and create a trust with it? Like you said, you can add LLC to the end of the name of that trust.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is. A trust is superior to an LLC. It really
Okay.
is.
And the only reason that
And it's up to you. So I'm not telling everybody to do this. That's not what I'm telling people to do. But yes, you can. That is a strategy and it's creative. And yes, you can name, so the LLC that you dissolve, you can create a business trust with the identical name. So I actually have two entities that are called 7 Ways to Wealth. One is an LLC through the state, and the other one is a business trust. And they have the same name, and they have 2 different EIN numbers.
Oh, so when you do it,
Because they're 2 different entities.
oh, okay. So even though it has the same name, it won't, like when I tried to do it before and get the EIN, the name wasn't available, but because it's a trust, I can get an EIN and it won't give me a problem in saying that that name is not available.
Yeah, I
Okay.
have. Yeah, because it's 2 different types. So they're not going to give you an LLC with the identical same name because it's a different type of entity. That they will. So it just it just depends on how you do the application.
Okay. 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 I think I kind so one more question.
Yeah.
So in actuality, you have to have like 2 business trusts and have 2 different holding companies. Is that because then it'll be private? The one that you don't put that does not buy the LLC. All right. I got it.
You
I've
are
been so
absolutely
confused.
correct. Yeah, you are
All
so
right.
correct. That is the best thing. You to have one that's public, right? Where it's not public per se, but that's what you're using to build business credit. That's what you're using to offer products and services out there in the community, in the world. That's the name that they're going to see. That's the entity that they're going to be interacting with. And then you have one that's private where it's, not in the forefront. It's not building credit. It doesn't offer any products or services.
Okay. So the one that buys the LLC is the one in which I need to establish the business credit with?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Christina.
You're welcome, Terry. All right. And then we have Ashley, and then I'm going to go to the chat, and then we are going to wrap it up for today. And I'm so excited to see you guys tomorrow. So Ashley, you have the floor. Hey, Ashley. And you guys, Ashley she just enrolled 30 minutes before we started this workshop. So she's a rock star for being here on time, ready to go. All right, Ashley.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I wanted to know who could be the grantor, and can I be both a grantor and trustee?
That's a good question. So you can only hold one position inside of this trust. So remember earlier on the call, we said that the grantor has no power and no control. So do you want to have no power and no control inside of your trust?
No.
Okay, so you don't want to be the grantor. So it's a conflict of interest, right? It's contraindicated because how can you be a grantor and have no power and control, but then you can be a trustee as well and have power and control? So they cancel each other out. So you can only hold one position. And you already know what that position is. So since you know that you are the trustee, you're going to appoint someone else to be your grantor on paper, right? So you know that you set up your trust, but on paper, you have someone else as the creator that goes and provides that signature. That person could be anybody. So that person can be your brother. That person can be your parent, your grandparent, your best friend. Remember, they have no power, no control, no beneficial interest, no influence, nothing at all. But that person, that you choose, just make sure that you are not choosing a person that you want to actually either be your co-trustee or to be a beneficiary and benefit. Okay, because that person literally is going to be like excluded. So just be mindful of that. So for example, let's just say that you chose your sibling, your brother, but then 15 years later, you want to add him as a beneficiary. Well, now you can't because
Right.
he was the original grantor and you locked him out of this trust for the life of the trust.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. My second question. I guess there's like a lot of. All right, let me go back. An executive secretary, secretary. That's a position, right?
Yeah, these are
Okay.
optional. These are
Oh,
optional.
okay.
All of them are optional. So I don't want you to think, oh my goodness, now I need to get a general trust manager, a secretary, a caretaker. These are all optional positions. So you have to have 3 board members. You're board member number 1 already. So you only need 2 other people in order for you to legitimately run your trust the way it's supposed to be ran through a board of trustees. Those 2 people can be a secretary and a treasurer, or a general trust manager and a treasurer. But you just need those people, on paper, and then for them to be able to attend your meetings. You can have your meetings wherever you want. So I have my meetings in different countries. And then I also have them on Zoom. So you can have them anywhere you want. So do you have a specific question about this secretary?
No, I was just questioning what that role was. But for
Okay.
the members, can they be blood related?
They
The
can.
board members. Okay.
Yeah, they just cannot be the beneficiaries. So the beneficiaries can only be beneficiaries. They cannot be board members. But for this specific trust, the beneficiary is a family trust, so it's not a human person. So for example, if you had a sibling, again, right, a brother, and your brother was the beneficiary, then he cannot serve on the board. But with this particular trust, since the beneficiary is the family trust, he's not serving as a beneficiary, so he can serve on the board.
Okay. Since it's a different trust. And the family trust, we're going to be setting that up as well as a
Tomorrow.
separate trust.
Yeah,
Okay.
tomorrow. Tomorrow we're setting up the family trust. Wednesday we are setting up our ministry trust, which is our tax exempt nonprofit trust. And then Thursday we're going to do board meetings, and we are also going to do established business credit for the trust that we established today. And then on Friday we're going to be transferring assets, and we're going to be doing infinite banking.
You said Thursday board meetings?
Yeah, we're gonna have a board meeting for all 3 of our trusts. We're going to apply for our EIN for our business trust, the one we set up today. And then we're going to establish business trust corporate credit for the trust that we established today. Okay. And so you'll find that information in the emails that you receive from Aya.
Okay, that's true.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Ashley. So I think I might have some questions in the chat. Let me see here. Okay, hold on one second. All right, is there a minimum number of board members? It's 3. Who would be a good example for a protector if not someone who's related? So, that is a good question. So a protector, it needs to be someone who is not blood related or who is not related by marriage. So it depends. Usually it could be like a godfather or a best friend or something like that. But the best practice is for you to have someone who is not so close to you. And then another thing is that those two other board members, they have to choose who the protector is. So you can't choose the protector if you're the trustee. So why do we need all of these requirements? Okay, James, that's a good question. So the reason why we put all of these provisions inside of this trust is because there's no guarantee that the family trust is going to always remain the beneficiary of this business trust. So in the event that the successor has someone else become the beneficiary, then you have the right provisions inside of this trust already for that is related to a natural person. Ashley said, please slow down. Wow, Ashley. So we have to, so Aya is going to upload the recording. So as soon as I'm done, probably I would say within the hour, she'll have it uploaded to the portal and then you guys could go rewatch it. Would the EIN bring the trust back into the jurisdiction of the government? That is true, Jay. So the EIN belongs to the government, okay? And it is in the jurisdiction of the government. So an alternative to that is you applying for a 98 number as a foreign entity. And we give you the instructions on that. That's a manual process that we don't show you. So you have to actually, the EIN application, what is the name of that? The form. I can't even remember right now. So that form, you have to manually fill it out and then you have to call a number and you have to read off all of the characters in the box. Do you get a DUNS number or EIN only? You do get a DUNS number for the business trust if you're building business credit. What if the grantor passes? That's perfectly fine. So the grantor is designed to pass away. So are the trustees, right? Because this trust is designed to outlive you guys, which is fine. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. So it's okay if the grantor passes away. Sometimes if you are doing applications or something and they ask you for the grantor, they'll ask you if the grantor is living or dead. And if the grantor is not alive, then they'll ask you for a death certificate. Sometimes it just depends on like what asset you're working with. Can we have the business listed as the grantor or is that not recommended? If you want to, because you can have it listed as the grantor, the trustee, or the beneficiary. Any one of those three parties that we mentioned suffice as being a responsible party. So if there's no general manager, do you delete it? I mean, you can delete it if you want to, or you could just leave it there in the event that there becomes a general trust manager. Hold on one second. Okay. All right, so Tina said on the certificate of trust. So on the certificate of trust, on the version that you have is probably missing the address. So go ahead and add the address section to it. And then Aya will she can send a separate certificate of trust as well if you need that. And let's see what else. Okay, so Tony is asking if he can get the family trust documents. All right. So I can send that over. You guys are funny. a second this such amazing program. Oh, Flo said, I second that. This is such an amazing program. Thank you, Flo. And then, okay, so James said, question from my wife, is the limit set in the business trust liquid assets or cash value, or does that include the value of the businesses within the trust? So when you're talking about the limit, what are you talking about? Are you talking about the section where we're talking about the charitable contributions? Example, if there are two businesses within the trust valued at 2 million, do you then donate X amount of funds to the ministry trust to offset their value? Okay. So the limit, it's not a limit. It's a minimum. So the maximum doesn't matter, right? So what you're saying is, for example, cash flow, right? It's January. So let's just say we only had 100,000 in cash flow so far for the year, right? What you're saying is once this company this year reaches $500,000, then at that point, we're going to start contributing to the ministry trust so that we can offset our tax liability. So you're setting the minimum standard, not the maximum. So if the maximum is, 2 million or the net worth is 2 million, that's fine. But what is the minimum for you to begin to start the contribution? So, and it's just a recommendation because at the end of the day, it's up to your discretion too. So even if you put 500,000, but you say, I don't want to contribute at this time, you don't have to. Or let's just say that you didn't even reach 500,000 and you're at 400,000, then you want to, contribute 100, then you can. And okay, so Lyric says she needs access. Okay, blah, 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 does... All right, so I think we are done here. Let's see. So for the business trust to remain private, we need a 98 number. Yes, yeah, so with the 98 number, you're going to be applying as a foreign entity, and so you need a foreign address for that whole process. Okay, so you will receive the instructions for the 98 okay? I meant so who is Zoom user? Because I don't know who I'm talking to. Zoom user? Myra. Okay, Myra. Awesome. So I meant, does the business trust build credit to build revenue or just banking? Oh, that's a really good question, Myra. So the business trust builds credit to leverage the credit, OPM, other people's money. So what we're doing is we're building business credit so that we can get higher lines of credit, right, than our personal side. So now we actually have a second profile. So now, Myra, you use your personal credit, right? But then you're tapped out, you got your utilization that's high, your credit score done drop because you're trying to leverage this credit in order to acquire assets. On the business side, they don't care about your utilization. So you get higher lines of credit, which is beautiful. So instead of on the personal side, you get 20, but on the business side, you can get 100, right? So you get higher lines of credit, but then what you're going to do is you can strip those credit cards, right? So you can strip them and so you're going to do two things. You're going to deposit it inside of your insurance policy to increase your cash value. Then you're going to borrow the funds out and you're going to purchase an asset. Then that asset is going to cash flow and then you're going to be able to pay back your business credit card. So that's how the process works. So that's why we go ahead and apply for the business credit on Thursday, and then we learn about the asset protection, transferring, and acquiring on Friday. So that is a wrap, you guys, for day one of the Wealthy Trustee Workshop. I'm super duper duper excited. Oh my gosh. So I do have homework for you guys. In the chat, you should see the link for Facebook. You received it in your emails as well. Half of you guys are already on Facebook. The other half of you guys are not. So please go into the Facebook group. The name of the Facebook group is Wealthy Trustee Community, okay? So some of you guys have received the link for 7 Ways to Wealth Facebook. That is not the right Facebook group. The Facebook group that you want to be in is called Wealthy Trustee Community. In that community, what I want you guys to do is go ahead and introduce yourself. So go ahead, do a video, a picture, a post, introduce yourself into the community. We have about 200 people in the community. It should be way more, but that's okay. Not everyone has Facebook. So that's fine. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the community. Let everybody know who you are, what you do, so that we can get familiar, because we are a tight-knit community, okay? And if you guys have any questions, drop them in there. Dana is the program director, and she will be able to facilitate any questions or concerns or anything that you guys might have, okay? She's like a hawk in there, always, always watching out for what's going on. So go ahead and post, introduce yourself to all of the other trustees. So you guys heard it. Some of these trustees have been in the program since last year or even the year before, okay? So they've already been operating as a trustee. And if you have a question as a newbie, guess what? Some of those trustees will jump right in and they will answer those questions for you. I know Flo is one of them. So go ahead and join the Facebook group and go ahead and introduce yourself. We want to get to know you. So as of right now, we are wrapping it up. I'm too excited, guys. We're wrapping it up. So tomorrow you are going to receive the day 2 email. It's going to have the resources that you need, which is the template for the family trust. Tomorrow we are going over the family trust. So you will receive that email an hour or 2 before our Zoom, and it is going to be a specific Zoom link. So it's not going to be the same Zoom link that you use today, okay? So be on the lookout for that. So you will receive a text message reminder as well as the email for day 2 for the resources that you need. And I will see you guys here tomorrow, where we will be setting up the family trust. So I'm super excited. Everyone have a wonderful and blessed
I'm leaving.
day. Yeah,
You
everyone
too.
have a wonderful and blessed day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
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 Bye.